Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Shahzadi Samra for the course of Emerging Forms of Literature, and the course code is ENGL 4141. So the topic is film theory, criticism, and technology. In our previous lecture, we also discussed about the film theory, and we discussed chunks of different theories, or a little bit about different theories. And in this lecture, we'll also discuss about the remaining theories, our major theories regarding this course. Then we'll move on to the film criticism and technology. So now is the cognitive theory. As the word cognitive indicates that it is something relevant to the intellect, or means it will trigger human intellect. So this theory it was given by David Bordwell in 1985, and he talked about this in the book Narration in the Fiction Film. So from the last two, it gained popularity after 1985, quite a popularity, and it is still popular in this era, in this age, as it deals with the psychology of a man. But we cannot categorize into this psychoanalytical film theory. So this theory, it is a presupposition that tackles and is dedicated about the individual's understanding of things happening around him. So it is a theory that zooms in on uncommon series of quintessential circumstances in a person's life, from the music that he listens to, from the books that he reads, from the subject he learns in university, from the daily communication he does with the people he mingles with every single day, even from the movies that he watches, from the analytical games that he plays, and from the problems he encounters in his life and workplace, and on how he reacts and deals with those particular bumps on his road. So it is basically a study of human intellect and how quickly he can adjust and adapt himself by digesting and engulfing in his brain about the panorama of life that he gets to behold every single day. So whether from the real life personal experiences or from the diverse entertainments that is generated or that is registered by viewing television or cinema, is all comes under the category of cognitive theory. So this broad understanding of an individual's mental ability to grasp and solve easily even the hardest of problems that is being thrown at him is a theory about how a person can distinguish and point out an image of a wine glass, while some may see the image as mere silhouettes of two heads facing each other. It is about the comprehension of a person's skill in decoding more than what plainly the eyes can see. It is about finding the hidden things. You might have played the game Find the Difference. So it is about that that triggers the human mind, that triggers or that shows how the person's comprehension or ability to understand the things. So the cognitive theory can be said to be a theory that expound on the amazing ability of a person to perceive more than what an image is serving with. Sorry. It is likewise a study on how vast and stunning and a person's appreciative and imaginative sensory motors can go and drive him beyond the limits of his capabilities. So the cognitive theory, it all deals with the human impact, human nerves. So that how he can pinpoint the trivial details that are taking place in the in the movie. Like whenever we watch any piece of painting, it does represent different everyone sees that painting with the different perceptions, and some of us may not notice the trivial details, but some may notice that thing. So cognitive theory helps with that, to understand the human intellect. So it also aims to exemplify the vitality of human comprehension through the given medium of artistry. So it existed in its intent to unravel every person's cerebral, like the mental diversions and interests, how he quickly get the bottom of things, how he can easily identify a given object of picture or sound or word or the taste of a given food or delicacy, how he can deliver and share his very own personal logic and judgment on things. How easily he can recall things and lines from a song or from a book or a certain scene from a recent movie that he was able to watch. And how he can easily retain vital specifics to his memory and apply such things effectively through the aid of his bright and vivid memory. If you have watched the Big Bang Theory, Big Bang Theory deals with the, it comes under the category of cognitive theory, cognitive film theory. So the Sheldon Cooper, the character, he is the person who can just recall everything in nanoseconds. So I must say that you can watch that season, or you can watch the clips on Facebook, but that comes under the category of cognitive theory. So the cognitive theory also explore and explore and analyze and wade through the exceptionally mentally challenged minds of certain individuals who may, despite of his mental impairment, still he may be able to evoke such high level of intellect far more greater than the normal people compared to him in the fields such as sciences and geometrics. So in cognitive theory, everyone and everything is taken carefully into consideration or into account, and everything is taken into depth, and everything is analyzed thoroughly and analyzed into the deep most. So it deals with the human mind. So but how we can imply it to films? So the it plays a great claw and impact on the on the dazzling and mesmerizing or mystifying domain of cinematic films. So the cognitive theory on film serves as a graphic and mundane representation of images, characters, emotions and emotions expected to a given scene, and theme and characterization of certain movie. So this particular theory provides more depth and essence and framework and most often than not the outlandish, the but sorry like it does depict the every aspect in a film, including the setting of a film, the lighting, the careful and thorough choices of the sound scores, the in-depth choices of the castings, the characterization and the staffs and the crews, and even the script writer's pool, in even how the script be wisely and perfectly deliberated and be transformed, and transforming it to be much larger than life itself, no matter how impossible, transforming the hugely unimaginable to become beyond the imaginable in the heart of people's core fantasies and imaginations. So it does that, it does focus on the every aspect of the film, it does focus on the audience's imagination, it does focus on the on the limitation of the there isn't any limitation to imagination, so it creates those things that are beyond imagination. So the motion pictures, they hugely they are impacted with the cognitive theory, concentrating on the fundamental appropriations of cognitive education. It deals with the perception, sentiments, a story or history, abilities and the powers of an individual to precisely recall every vivid aspect of a film or motion pictures he or she is watching. So the connection of the chronicles of connective events, human passions, they are condensed to our assimilation as to what and who we actually are, as we link our lives related to or adhere and conform to the every scenes and details offered to us by each and every motion pictures we are watching and brooding upon. So it happens, it happens in reality. Whenever we are watching a movie, we just relate our own lives with that, relate our own a story with that movie, and we just try to implement the whatever happening in that movie into our lives. So it does deal with the abilities and powers or attitude of people or characters and their emotions into it, and this theory does delve into those things. So I have also given example of this is the Good Will Hunting. Good Will Hunting is a movie released in 1997, basically written by the protagonist of the movie, Matt Damon, and who is also playing the title role, and directed by Guzwa San. Basically, it is a movie about a person, about a boy who was uneducated but he was quite capable, and he was a master in the subject without without getting any kind of education. So it deals with that character, with his intellect, and how everyone persuade him to do work for them and all that. You can watch that movie, and I have also mentioned other examples like A Place in the Sun, Pearl Harbor, 12 Angry Men, and many more. And sorry about the last lecture, I thought I just recorded the clip, but it happened that I didn't record the link, the clip, and it was on, and I just put that in there, so you can watch. And that link was in city of in apparatus theory. Okay, now we'll move on to our next theory. Next theory is feminist film theory. Okay, as the already read about the feminist theory, literary theory, the feminism, and the feminist literary theory. So the it began in late 80s, 18s, like oh, sorry, 20th century, 1960, and it began with the second wave of feminism. So the first wave of feminism is the suffragette movement, and it began in early 20th century and 1900. When the second wave started, it was the time, like it was the 1970s, when the feminist film theory started. So the eras, I would briefly give about the eras. It's just like the recalling. So the first one is the suffragette movement. It began in 1900, and the early 1970s. It was the period when the feminist film theory also started. And the mid 1970s, the third wave, third era, that is the through the from 1970s to 1980s, and the earlier 1980s and until present day, it is the post feminism. It is called post feminism era. So the feminist film theory, it is a theory that discusses about women participation and its roles in almost every field in the community and in the society in general. So in this modern world, women are not only limited in one single field of expertise, like wherever you look, you will find women. The presence of women is in politics, in drama, in science, in literature, in arts, in governance, and in the movies, in the theater. Everywhere women are present, and the progression of women and influence to the world of drama, comedy, films, and movies, it dated from the early centuries of television production and cinema. So the for example, sorry about that. So the first one is the Elizabeth Montgomery, and she was she performed and she was admired everywhere, and she performed in a sitcom. So she like effectively carried her role and the show as real as lovable as she was. So she was admired. So the like then the women filmmakers are not from today, but way back, since the beginning of 19th century. As I told you that the feminist theory started in 1900, but women were writing, and but they were not disclosing their identity. They were writing under the names of male and male identity, and as is the as the case with the woman. So the first feminist movement happened to protect the women from gender difference, to equally pay in the industry, and acknowledging women, and women also claim their own rights and interest. So the subjectivity to women expressing herself didn't complete until the start of the second feminist movement. And it was the second movement when the film theory, when the theorist they started implying and feminist theory in films as well. So it was the time when it started, when it was implemented in the movies. So the the feminist film theory generally is about theoretically the film criticism that rises from feminist politics and theories governed by the second wave of feminism. So they like it focuses on how the public analyzes that how women and they deliver their attitude, they perform in different scenarios, and what characters they are given to portray in particular film, in drama, in any cinema screen. So the people were analyzing each and everything, and even some disputes the diverse distinction between the male and female roles in a film, which involves the public opinion and criticism that have both have vital importance in the development of given notions. So this kind of notion, it helps in further analysis of the feminist film theory. So it was like not only the theorists analyzing these things, rather the public was analyzing these things, and the theorists, they focused on the public opinion, that how they are taking these things, whether they are taking it positively, negatively, and what kind of roles given to women and the public is taking positively, or and what kind of roles they are taking negatively. So like it was you may say the kind of hypothesis by the scholars that the roles of the woman in a movie or drama is only the perception of society about women and their functionality in the craft. So what the theorists did, they elaborated their exertion on this dissertation, and even on the discourse of the theory. So they also taken into account the domains of television, the digital media, where the women workforce also thrived itself in working and in getting success. So they were also not only films, they were also focusing on the other fields, that how women are performing in other fields as well. And when it comes to the feminist film theory, it totally rely on the digital media and television shows or movies or cinema and everything. So the treatment of women in movies, it is a book in which it was written in 1974, and which portrayed that which analyzed that how the women are portrayed in film. And the films, those were related to the but like broader historical context, and the stereotypes, the extent to which the women were shown as active or passive, and the amount of screen given to women. They analyzed each and everything, that like if a woman is given a role, what kind of role is that. So the historical context, so what are the stereotypes behind it, and was the role given to her is kind of an active or passive one, or and how much time she was given to be on the screen. So this analyzed these things. There is a movie like The Pretty Woman. That is the movie you can watch, and you will get to know that how they are treating women. And the protagonist in the movie is basically a prostitute, and although it is funny, but you will get to know that how the woman was treated. If she was prostitute, and it totally based on, as I mentioned in this slide, that it is totally based on the perception of the society. If a woman is given a role of prostitute, and it is on society, it is on the viewers, that how are they taking this role, in the positive sense or in the negative sense. So there is an other the male gaze. In film, the male gaze occur when the audience is put into the perspective of a heterosexual man. So a scene may linger on the curves of a woman's body, for instance, it's referred to being the male gaze. So it is said that the male gaze is using women's sexuality and stereotypes of women by showing their femininity. So the theory suggests that the male gaze denies the feminist theory that male gaze denies women, and they are used as the male subject and for the visual player. Okay, male gaze is the basically an act or another theory in the feminist perspective that women is in which the women is only considered an object for male and or any object in for visual player or for any kind of player. So the woman is considered as a pleasing object in the male gaze. So the feminist theory rejects that the male gaze expresses an unequal power relationship in which the male gaze, they just subordinated the woman, and they given the power to the man. So it is also a social construct in which male is always dominant over the woman. So it is also a social construct and the cultural construct, and there isn't any kind of logics behind it on the basis of which they are given dominance. So that is the feminist theory, and they also negated it. And the feminist film theory, they also talked about this and depicted this in the movies. Like I told you, the movie The Pretty Woman, the same is the this kind of perception is present in that movie. I must recommend, I strongly recommend you to watch that movie, The Pretty Woman. So it is said the male gaze, it was kind of misleading and which have a negative impact on female watchers. So the male gaze, it depicted women as an mere object for player to man. So moving on, the Claire Johnson, Pam Cox, Laura Anete, these are the film theorists, feminist film theorists, who for the past 3 years they developing a controversial approach in film theory, and their works offer a new perspective on women in the film and has many valuable insights, but it has also serious methodological problems. So if you are whenever you are putting forward any theory, there will always be anti-theorist to that theory. So the Claire Johnson, she wrote essays on the construction of ideology in the mainstream cinema, and Pam Cook, she wrote books about women in films. So, and Laura, she is best known for her essay visual player and narrative cinema, which was written in 1973. And Anette Cohen, and she she says that the female characters can possess the look and even make the male character the object of her gaze, and it was kind of response to the male gaze. So but being a woman, her desire has no power. She's defending, she's giving answer to the male gaze, but also telling that if a woman want to do so, she has no power, her desire has no power, because she's a subordinate subject. So in 1972, It was the feminist first film festival in the UK and USA, that was held in 1972, period of the second wave or second movement of feminist second wave of feminist movement. There are many, like in the genre of filmmaking, there are many notable women around the globe who are working behind the camera and who are excellent in the field of history making film industry. So there are many like Hardwick, Catherine Hardwick, Heffa, and Lloyd, Catherine, and Sofia Coppola. There are many. So the example, the Iron Lady is the example of the feminist film theory. It is a critically acclaimed British biopic motion picture, and it concentrates on the life and the endeavors of Margaret Thatcher with an unseizable service that she performed as Prime Minister of United States during the 20th century, and it began from 1925 to 2013. So this is the highly praised motion picture or film which was released in December 26, 2011 in Australia, and in United Kingdom in January 6, then in France in Feb 15, 2012. After a year, it was released in France and UK. So it focuses on this series of flashbacks from the Thatcher's life, starting from her struggling. It shows her struggle, her hardships to position herself as a lady member of legislature, and it also depicts the authoritarian yet mature persona of the Thatcher, and how she just struggled to gain an identity and to become her, or to gain her own identity as a person. I haven't put any clip in the of this movie in this lecture. You can watch it on your own. So okay, I was telling you that whenever there is a theory, there are always anti-theorists. So this theory is also faced criticism, although the influence of the feminist film theory, it is quite a lot in the filmmaking world, but it shows the unparalleled power and flexibility and talent, skills of the female gender in the film industry. So there are also film critics that debate that the women role and the purpose of their presence and activity, it is also in everywhere. So they didn't accept the interference of women in every field of life, and they were just rejecting the idea of a female presence in every field of life, whether it is drama, comedy, sitcom, cinema, politics, or other activities. So these are the four, I guess we read the four major theories in detail. So now we will see that what's the need for, why does it matter, why the film theories matter. As when we start to talk discussing about film theory, so film theory is basically is a framework to understand what films mean, how we can relate them to our life. Like understanding film theories allows viewers to find the new levels of meaning within the film, to find in different perception, different from different they make us able to view movie from different perceptions. So like yeah, the literary theories, when we read that, they enable us to analyze or to understand a piece of literature through different perceptions. So the filmmakers, the theory allows us to better hone our tools to create emotional and dramatic impacts on the audience as well. It doesn't only help, film theories doesn't only help viewers, it also helps the filmmakers, that so that they can understand what how they can use their tool to create greater impact on the minds of the people, not on the emotional emotions of the people as well. As I told you, there are certain elements in the film theory that analyzes, that help us to analyze any movie. So that is why film theory matters, that it enables us to analyze any film, to or to interpret any film through with different meanings. And it also enables us to find the hidden meaning behind the movie or any film. So next, I would tell about a bit of difference between the film theory and film criticism. Film theory, as I have told you, that film theory is a framework. Like literary theory is a framework to same is the case, like film theory is a framework which enables us to interpret meanings, different or to interpret or to analyze film through different perspective. On the other hand, film criticism, it is basically the implementation of those theories on films. The interpretation or the analysis of the film using film theories is called the film theory, and rather the practical implementation of the film theories on any film is called the film criticism. So that is a bit of the difference between the both. And we'll also read the film criticism in detail, and how the film criticism is relevant to technology. So that is all for this lecture, I guess. If I include the film criticism, it will become quite long, and it will become quite confusing for you always as well. And I have also added references in this slide, from where you can consult, or the data you can approach or access any data which I have mentioned in the previous slides. So if you have any confusion, you can contact. And that is all for now. Thank you so much. Stay home, stay safe, stay blessed. Allah Hafiz.